wanted to welcome everyone to our first ever Codeable podcast called Built with Heart. Really excited to start this new project. We have three great experts with us on our very first special show. So I'll let everyone quickly introduce themselves before we get stuck into the format and the topics. Did you want to start in the introductions, Olga?
Okay, fine. Hi, everyone. I'm WordPress developer, like 8 years. I started from scratch 12 years ago. Now I am representative of testing team, and I do a lot of other stuff. Possibly you saw me on some events. I am attending WordCamps since 2019 and greatly enjoying myself and these events.
Excellent, and you're very active in the WordPress community. I'm not sure if you are a contributor.
I'm a contributor. I took part as a mentor in contributor mentorship program, and I did the Get Involved tab on your dashboard in WordPress admin.
All right, great. We also have Srikanth with us. Do you want to give a brief introduction?
Yes, I'm Srikanth from India. I have been using WordPress since 2005, but I started developing themes in 2012 and plugins in 2009. And then I joined Codeable like 2 years back. That is 2022, I think. Mm-hmm. So that's what I do. I build themes and plugins.
All right, great. I think you're the newest expert on the panel, but you know what? It feels like you've been on Codeable a lot longer, which is a really great thing. And last but definitely not least, we have Giles. Do you want to give a quick intro before we get started?
Yeah, hi. As you said, I'm Giles. Currently live in France, obviously originally from the UK. I've probably one of the newer entrants into WordPress. I've probably been in the WordPress ecosystem for about 8 years, but been in and around websites for almost 30 now, and fairly general, do a lot of general stuff, a lot of SEO and Google integrations, but mainly just generally websites. So that's where I come from.
All right, great. As this is the first episode, I thought I would kind of explain how the format will work. So each expert has kind of brought something they would like to discuss, and then all of us can kind of chime in with and kind of give our take as well. So we'll get started with Olga. Did you want to start with what you wanted to talk about on the podcast?
Okay, great. I think it's very important to stay relevant to the market. And I think that with Codeable, you can do it a bit easier than in other places. For example, if you are working for one company, you are stuck with project for this company and you are not seeing the market actually. And if you spend like several years in one position doing the same thing again and again and again, actually you are not evolving and you are leaving yourself well behind everyone else. And when you are like losing your job or something is happening, you are freaked out because they are demanding things you cannot do. But with Codeable, it's easily remedied. You can, of course, take some topics you can easily handle to get some money and good results and good reviews, etc. But you can poke around to see what people are actually want to pay for. So, and this way you can like collect some topics you want to learn and stay relevant this way. But of course, this isn't enough. Because if Codeable is not offering some services, clients will not ask for them. In my personal experience, I think that DevOps is the thing you should know about, because this allows you to work with bigger projects. And it will be also like a sign for your credibility if you can do deployment, Jenkins files, some scripts for Google Git Actions, etc. So this will be like a sign that you are working with bigger projects, and you can this way land yourself with much more interesting tasks. And of course, if you are only taking like easy jobs, you are not evolving, so you are falling behind. And this is what I think is crucial, to balance what you are gaining money from and what you are learning and learn continuously. This is what how you can manage to stay in the market. And of course, what I found interesting, we have great WordCamps, yeah, but this isn't enough. We are sort of in our own bubble, so we have to poke around. For example, PHP conferences. This is must have. JavaScript. Sometimes JavaScript is tough, so you have to choose possibly front end. Some conferences, events, not about backend JavaScript. It's very tough and completely out of possibly your interests. Of course, React, we just must do React. Design, we have to like take a look on design events, user experience events, some kind of information about these things, because sometimes your clients are want something that is not working, and they will go back to you because you did this in the first place. Not some designer, but you build it in the end. And of course, SEO, marketing, sales, this is unavoidable. We have to do the whole thing. And from WordPress developer, people are expecting that we can do all these things, and we can work with Grafana, with logs, with some other stuff. Right now, it's like very difficult to count everything. But if you have wide toolbox, you have better opportunity to get better projects and be out of competition. There will be no much competition, actually, if you know everything. But of course, this is very tricky, because you have to work, you have to learn, you have to stay on top of things, and you still have to balance your life, because some people can balance their life, yeah, but I think this is a sign that they are falling behind already, because if your life is relaxed and everything is on schedule and nothing is falling out, you are lagging behind. Or you already cut it out something important, like your health, your family, your friends, and possibly you are just only working and are alone. So it's not a real right thing to do. So I think it's tricky for us to balance the whole thing, but it's very important, and balancing is like a real-time job. So
That's true. It's true. Look, as someone, I mean, look, you're really involved in kind of how WordPress is built. You've kind of been doing work behind the scenes. If you could give some advice to someone who, in the next, let's say, 5 years with WordPress, obviously they've just not recently, but like Gutenberg is a thing now, and so everyone's pretty much has to be very familiar with Gutenberg. But how would you feel? Also, what would you say would be advice for someone to be like, I need to get into JavaScript or React or something, like to really stay on top of where WordPress is going to go in the next, say, 5 years?
It's very tricky to know where we are going right now, but if you want to be great with React, blogs, and other things, it's better to find someone who already knew this, because when I started with blogs, it was a struggle. I was asking people like a lot because everything looks difficult.
Yes.
Right now, I am helping other people already. So now I'm like, it's easy. It's just a mess in documentation. And this is what was difficult in the first place. So if you have a buddy who already knew this, ask him. It will save you a lot of time. But of course, if you're just copying and pasting things, you are not learning. So you have to dive deep yourself, but help is much needed in this area.
I think Olga makes some very good points. You've got to be aware of where the market's going and what's happening within the market itself. And this is true of any business, you know, if you're, so you've got to keep that flow going. You've got to keep that knowledge coming in. You've got to have a look at what's coming down the pipe, what's happening, and whether that's actually relevant to what you're doing. And sometimes that's the choice you have to make, about what's relevant actually for you and what your skill set is. Obviously, through the years, I've seen lots of things come down the pipe within all forms of industry. You know, you could call me Betamax man if that means anything to anybody. And that was the wrong thing to do because everybody went VHS, and so you have to. It's those sorts of things you have to be able to pivot on it as well. If what you're doing is not quite right, you have to be able to say, this isn't right for me. Let's find something else that's more relevant to my skills. But that's something that's personal to you, but the constant development, continual development is something that you have to do to stay relevant within any market.
Yeah, what Olga said is correct. We need to keep up, have the balance, and health is very important because once it's gone, no amount of money can buy it back. So it's better to have it instead of trying to get it back later.
Yes, exactly. All right, let's go on to the second topic.
Yeah, sure.
Giles?
Jump in there. What I wanted to talk about was the general topic of diversification, and then looking at diversification with an eye on what that perhaps means in the WordPress ecosystem. First of all, let's kick off with diversification in general. I've been in and around business for many years. I know you can't tell. I don't look tired or careworn at all, but I've seen all the way through that how dangerous it is when you don't diversify. So, for instance, you look at your customer base. So if you take a customer, if you have one customer who's a huge part of your business, and I've been around an agency where this was the case, and they did multi-thousands of dollars of business with this one particular customer. They had staff dedicated to that particular customer. And they were handling all the television adverts and all the press adverts and doing all the brochures and everything for them. They're really embedded with this company. And the company did so well that they sold out to a venture capitalist. And the venture capitalist turned around and said, actually, this agency is too small. We're giving it to a London agency. And overnight, something like 70% of the business of that company disappeared. So that's one of the things you've got to look at. So if they're diversified a little bit more, when you look at that as a personal thing, you know, and when I look at what I'm doing in business and who my clients are, and I look at my Codeable clients, I try and make sure that I haven't got more than 20%. And that's my general rule, to make sure that 20% of my business isn't with just one customer. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
try and
that makes sense.
Sure that 20% of the business isn't with just one customer. When it starts going over 20%, I need to diversify. I need to find other customers to bring extra business in to bring that back down, because once you start losing a third of your turnover, it becomes a huge hole in your business that you have to fill, because we all live to what our turnover is and what our income is. It's just natural business. So, and the same, you know, and that also means then that you can, if you've got a diverse customer base, you can then generate more ongoing business. So within the Codeable infrastructure, 80% I would guess of your business, if you're doing it right, should be coming from existing customers.
Yes, exactly. And how would you feel? Like, I mean, you've explained about how you have to have, I agree that having a kind of wide range of clients, so you're not depending on one. And what skill set would you advise people to kind of broaden the skill set? Like let's say focus on some SEO, some kind of and other skills, or would you just be like strictly, I'm a professional in this, and I'm gonna.
I understand exactly what you're saying there, Andy. No, I think yes. Yes and no there's two ways of going about it. You can either diversify vertically or you can diversify horizontally. Okay. So within a vertical market, if you're on SEO, you can look at everything that SEO applies to. Mm-hmm. So you can look at Google tags, you can look at SEO on page, you can look at sitemaps, you can look at specializing in rank math or Yoast. There's a whole ecosystem within that vertical market of SEO that you can look at. So rather than just specializing in one particular product, you can have a look at that and say, okay, how can I increase my coverage of that vertical market? Mm-hmm. And look at how that works within you and how you can bring other things to the game there and how you can align yourself. So you might then say, well, okay, fine, I need to know about SEMrush. I need to go and have a look at other things, other products out there that are within this particular ecosystem. Mm-hmm. And how I can fit that in. Or you can go horizontal and say, okay, I'm going to be more generalist in the market. And I'll be able to pick up lots more projects that way because I can have a look at it. And you might say, well, okay, you might want to have a look at, okay, I can do blocks, but I can also do Elementor and I can work with other things like that. So I tend to favor Elementor to Gutenberg. Mm-hmm. But there is a large community out there who are using Elementor. Mm-hmm. I know it gets a lot of bad press, but it's like everything, and other people will specialize in Divi.
Yes. Yeah, look, it's a really fine line because you know the old saying, you could be like a jack of all trades but a master of none.
With the horizontal thing, a lot of stuff, I tend to try to be more horizontal than vertical, although I sort of hit the SEO elemental thing, whereas I do a lot of marketing and SEO and marketing as well. So I can help them with their approach to markets, have a look at other stuff there. So you can have a look at stuff outside the ecosystem that can be applied to a lot of other things. And that may be something, given the current climate within WordPress, that we ought to be looking a little bit more at.
I think so
how
too.
We can take our skills and apply them outside the WordPress ecosystem. Mm-hmm. Because at the moment it's kind of gently imploding. It's going to be very hard for it to disappear with the amount of sites that's actually dependent on WordPress.
Exactly.
But we're all aware of the various lawsuits that are carrying on at the moment. And that is going to have an impact on us.
It's really good explaining it going vertically or horizontally. It's a really great way to explain it.
Yeah. I think we can be an expert in one niche like Gutenberg, and mm-hmm. the diversification should happen in the client base. Like, don't be dependent on one client, like Giles said, that big company that lost 70%. Don't be and like he does now, like don't let one client be more than 20 or 30% of his income. So diversification can happen there. Get multiple clients so that even if one client doesn't give you any more work, you can have other people and you can get new clients. So, but if we kind of become a generalist, mm-hmm. We may not be able to earn high amount of money because we need to be an expert in one thing, right?
Yes.
If we are a generalist, we probably should start running an agency and hire niche experts.
That actually moves on to what Olga's first point was. Olga, what do you think about kind of how much of these skills you should learn, and then when do you call yourself an expert?
I think there's also a question about the balance. Of course,
Yes.
if you are working, for example, with front end, with CSS, HTML, etc., you are learning then JavaScript. After
Yes.
JavaScript, you possibly learn React, or you are going to the back and learning PHP. So you are taking things that are close by to your area, like expanding your area bigger. So if you learn, for example, how to build blocks, you can
Yes.
dive deeper into React or do something similar. Like if you already know how to build sites, you can, for example, figure out how to spread your sites through several servers and balance them. This is like an advanced thing. But this is like area that will be expanded again and again and again. There is no end. So
Yes.
you are like making this bigger. And this is what I think this is what can make you possible to learn deeper these things, because you are not trying to learn everything at once, but you are learning each new thing deep enough to be an expert in this area. But of course, you cannot do everything, and you don't need to know everything. You need to be able to figure out quickly things you don't know.
Well, yeah, it's talking about skills, expanding skill sets and learning new tools. Srikanth, you wanted to talk about a really cool Gutenberg thing you were part of.
Yeah, yes. Like, well, there was this certification test for us, all Codeable experts in blogs. And then whoever who didn't pass the test, they were given a course. Like Codeable purchased 10 seats from Frank Klein, who teaches blogs, and we all joined, we all learned a lot, and now I can really build fast websites. Like in the span of 1 year, like the initial test was in April, I think, and then they did the course and all those things by December. And now I really like building websites with Gutenberg, and they are very, very fast. It's amazing. Like Gutenberg is very good.
All right, I guess the first question is, so how was this course advertised, and like how did you get a spot on the course?
So it seems like that course was offered to people who almost passed in the test, like the test in the April, like whoever almost passed were invited. And there were 10 slots and emails were sent to people, and it was first come, first serve. And that's how I got it.
And so obviously if you almost passed, so your skill set was already quite, like you already kind of knew, like you weren't just starting from scratch. You kind of had a really good understanding of Gutenberg from the start.
Yes, I started building custom blogs in 2019 itself, but they were just blogs. They were not full site editing or the patterns and the themes and all that thing. And I learned all these things, like how to build a FSC theme and all to pass the test, but I couldn't. So then they put me in this course, and then Frank kind of, he has a course, very nice course, explaining how to correctly build the full site editing theme. Actually, I showed him a theme I built thinking that I did a great job.
Okay.
And then he kind of went and chopped everything off, like, no, this shouldn't be here, this shouldn't be here, this should be done this way, this should be done that way, and all that made sense. And now kind of like what I build is kind of very good. At least, I mean, I have to ask him again, like, hey, Frank, is this a great theme, or like, are there any more improvements to be made? But otherwise, I do think that it's very good. Like, it looks fast and all those things.
And this is a question that I ask very often on skill chats, and I'll definitely be asking it on this podcast quite often, with obviously Gutenberg being the future of WordPress. What's everyone's opinion on kind of where you're already building custom blocks now. What do you think the future is for Gutenberg and WordPress in general?
I don't know about the future, but I hope it's good because I really, really like it. And I hope it's right. Like we all will use Gutenberg in future for times to come.
Yeah, look, I certainly didn't like how it was launched. I think it wasn't launched in an amazing state, and I was definitely not an early adopter of Gutenberg. I was kind of a very late adopter, but now it's in. I mean, it isn't in perfect shape, but I mean, I don't know if it will ever be in perfect shape. But it's really in a state now where it's very easy to use, or it's easier to use. With some small tweaks, and if you could build custom blocks, it is a super powerful tool.
The important thing we need right now, hopefully, I don't know if it will be built because there is a pause on WP development, but we do need the responsive controls in the blocks, because currently I have to go write the custom CSS and all that. But if we can get that, it would have been great. But unfortunately, I don't know when this will happen because we all know what's happening and there is a pause on development.
Be great to hear, Giles and Olga. You have two different opinions here. I know Giles. I mean, you do use Gutenberg, but you would favor a builder. So I'll start with you first. What do you think of kind of the state of Gutenberg now, and even when it first launched?
I'm with you. When it first launched, I think it was appalling. I think it was launched at the wrong time. I think it was launched too early, and I think it didn't deliver anything of what it promised. And it became incredibly confusing. And then they were launching it with full site editor and Gutenberg, and people didn't understand what was going on. And I had a lot of very confused clients who couldn't understand the ecosystem, didn't understand that it wasn't simple for them. I think it worked a lot better for developers. But I think a lot of people on the front end were struggling very heavily with it. And it, for me, didn't deliver on what they said it would. So I concentrated on Elementor because Elementor was something that I had been using for several years, and for me was a bit of a game changer when it came to working in the WordPress ecosystem. I didn't like particularly, and I still don't particularly like the way the dashboard is laid out, the way things are disjointed within it. There was a new dashboard that they were looking at a while ago, but that hasn't really come to the fore. I'm really not sure what's going to happen with that now. And I found it was much easier with clients to take them through a page builder where it was very much simpler for them to learn and maintain their sites. Because when I hand a site over to a client, I want them to be able to maintain 95, 97, 99% of the site without having to come back to me and say, oh, can I change this? Can I move that? Now, I mean, it's a little bit different. It's better. The way it's working is becoming better. But this whole thing, it seems still to be aimed at the developer. So as Srikanth was saying, oh, I've developed this block. Oh, I've developed these blocks that will do this. Whereas in a page builder, Divi, Elementor, Beaver Builder, whatever, you drag a block in.
It's always a super hot topic, the old Gutenberg first page builder. And that will be, you know what, you've just given me an excellent idea. Like a future podcast episode is just going to be page builders versus Gutenberg, and just have three experts on, and just like just pretty much have
a build off.
We'll finish off with Olga's opinion. I know, I'm pretty sure you'd be on the Gutenberg side. I'd be surprised if you were not.
Of course, I'm on the Gutenberg side because I don't like the mess and complications in other plugins. I like minimalistic content inside the database. So
Mhm.
this is what I can get with Gutenberg. I'm building dynamic blocks. So this way I can change layout however I want without any restrictions, keep data almost pure, restrict in the editor what can be done and cannot be done by the editor. So, and they are actually enjoying the experience because they are just staying on something and putting content in. And they, I can restrict the things this way that they cannot break the layout.
Mm-hmm.
So they are just adding block and filling in what they need to fill. They are playing with some settings I made. So everything is custom for them, for the project, and people are enjoying this experience, editors, and I have still full control what they are actually doing.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's not very easy to work with, but very interesting and challenging as well. It's interesting to build.
I definitely would favor Gutenberg also, but I do think Giles does make a great point about giving the client, like, I personally don't want to always give the client that full control to be like, I want to start dragging stuff or building this, and I think that's what Olga's point is, where you only give them a strict set of, if you want to change this, change that, and then if they want to go outside of that, then they would have to come back to you and say, actually, you know what, on this page I want to start moving text, or I want to add a YouTube video into the header or something, where if you have a page builder, then I guess the client could just do it all themselves, and then they can break something. So yeah, look, they
come back to you and you do it anyway, so
yes. exactly. But wanted to thank all three of you for being on our historic first ever Codeable Built with Heart podcast. And I've always wanted to do this. This is going to be up on YouTube, so please like and subscribe. Thanks for being here. It was a really great discussion, and yeah, we'll be doing this every month.